GM.
Good morning, Valko. How's it going?
Not too shabby. How are you?
Oh, good. Oh, good. Uh, moving places today, moving countries tomorrow, beginning
You're
of the
you're in
summer.
Lisbon, yeah?
Going to Lisbon tomorrow.
Ah.
Dude, you must have so much FOMO because, I don't know, but like it's all over Twitter, it's all over all these chat groups.
Yeah, I'm pretty jealous. It seems like a lot of punks are going, but I've got stuff to do here in Nashville, and so, while you guys are having fun, I guess I'll be hunkering down, keyboard warrioring.
Yeah, someone has to do the work, right?
Exactly. Someone's got to do the work.
Yeah.
I forgot there was NFT Lisbon, and then there's ETH Lisbon later this year, yeah?
Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I don't really go to the ETH conferences. It's just I'm just so much an NFT guy at this point. It's just there's NFT. No, there's ETH Paris. I think the week after or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
For
got our
example,
boy Dawes in the room. Messy hair, glasses, mustache.
oh, that's a
Dawes, if you
dope.
want to chat, come on up here. It's the Punks Roundtable. But if you're just here to listen, that is cool too.
Valko, you know Phantom Scribbler, right?
Yeah.
So the funny thing with him is that we had NFT Paris earlier on this year, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm not coming. I have to do my sport. Blah blah blah." 2 days before the event, he was like, "Man, I FOMO'd. I booked my tickets." He flew over. Okay. This time he was like, "Yeah, I'm not coming to Lisbon. I have to, be with my family and shit." Yesterday he bought his ticket. He FOMO'd into coming, and then yeah.
Oh my gosh. He's going to do it again, dude.
I
Third
mean, he
time's
did
the
it. He
charm.
did
Maybe
it.
you'll get it right next time.
Yeah, yeah. It's just like just come to these events. It's like Twitter, but in real life. NFT Twitter in real life. Daz, how's it going? Welcome. I love your punk.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks for having me.
So Dawes is a fellow Southern punk like myself. I won't fully dox his location, but we connected not just on messy hair and eyewear, but also being some crypto degens in the southern parts of the U.S.
Giddy up. Yeah, I've long since moved, but I definitely still have that as my history for sure.
Oh man, I'm so jealous. So where are you at these days?
So what's funny is I'm actually in Boise, Idaho for a week.
Hey,
Yeah, so I've lived here about a year, but I am moving right now to Brooklyn. Part of
dude,
the chump. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be another chump over in Williamsburg.
there's such a strong crypto scene in Brooklyn and Williamsburg. I'm so jealous.
Yeah, I can't ignore it for sure. What about y'all? Where you at these days? Or I guess if you're not gonna dox, then that's cool
Oh,
too.
I'm still in Nashville
Oh, sick.
currently, but my girlfriend lives in the city, so I'm up in that neck of the woods about half the time doing meetups pretty often. I'm trying to arrange a punks meetup maybe like mid July, so we should stay in touch on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, ECC is July 14th onward, but otherwise I'll be that's the one in Paris.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Uh, Otherwise I'll be there, yeah. So if it's before that, I'm in. If it's after, I'll just have to catch you next time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Dawes, I've seen you around on Twitter, but tell me a bit your story. So, firstly about the punk, I love the punk, but also it says CTO at Bankless.
Yes,
What,
sir.
what, because for me, like Bankless, I think of Ryan and I think of David, but like, what's the tech behind it?
Yeah, so the tech is a newer addition for sure. I'm a newer addition to the team. So I started to Earnify, which is used to be just the airdrop checker. So I've been a dev through and through for 10 plus years now, and I've been deep in Web3 tech. Yeah, so a few years now. And Bankless wanted to expand beyond media. Yeah, so I joined through an acquisition 6+ months ago at this point.
Oh, nice. So you were doing like a platform that found like airdrops, and then
Yeah, exactly.
Bankless basically bought you guys up or bought you up.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm still working on the exact same thing with just more firepower. That was the really important part for me, was to to not give up on the mission of what Earnify is doing. So it's helping you find all the valuable stuff for your wallet.
Oh man, amazing. It's interesting because I listen to quite a lot of Bankless and I don't hear them mention this part of the business that much.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely true for sure. And for now as well, I still haven't been on the podcast as well, which we're all talking about what that might be like to integrate deeper. But to be honest, at the moment, I'm just so busy hacking, like so busy building out the new features that I think we're kind of waiting until there's new things worth showing off from what Earnify used to be, which is just around the corner. Should be, in fact, in the next couple weeks.
Nice, nice. And so it's not just a one man team. It's a bigger team, or what's the setup?
Yeah, exactly. So this is Bankless Labs. Bankless Labs is, you've probably heard of Bankless VC. That's the venture capital arm.
Uh,
So Bankless VC launched just like a month ago. Bankless Labs is what I'm the CTO, or I mean, it's what I'm helping lead here.
So
Yeah, that
what is
launched
the
6 months
full
ago.
lay of the Bankless conglomerate? Because there's so many different pockets.
There's so many pockets. Absolutely. So I mean, I already did it just now. That was actually, luckily, we're already there. That's it. There's that plus the DAO. So it's those three
Gotcha.
branches and then the DAO. For now, that's all there is.
Are you plugged into much of the like kind of like bounty board stuff that they have going on? Because I did a lot of research on bounty programs, different tools, different strategies, and I did look at some of the things Bankless was up to. And one thing that caught my interest is I think they had a pretty cool like bounty board on D-Work, but also they have this. I think it's like a way to submit an article, and if your article gets accepted, it gets published to the entire like Bankless newsletter. Are you plugged into any of that? Because I'm just super bullish on bounty boards and frankly just like the future of work, as it were.
This is actually the first time I've heard of that bounty system right there, but it sounds incredible. And absolutely, if you guys ever need intros to folks too, I'm sure I'm one tap away from whoever made that decision on the DAO side or on the. It sounds like if it's for the media articles, actually, that might be with Bankless Media.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would. That's a must be a coworker.
Yeah.
That's someone I work with right now. I'm still trying to get caught up, like I said, on the media side, but yeah, on the tech side, it's full force right now. We're integrating a bunch of different governance stuff and NFT work finally, because Earnify was lacking on NFT stuff for quite a long time.
What sort of governance experiments are you guys up to? I'm always interested to hear how people are evolving and experimenting beyond, raw democracy and raw democracy plus delegation.
Yeah, so as far as like DAO experiments itself, what I'm really focused on is the idea of visibility. So as someone who wants to participate, I think that right now it's a train wreck of understanding, or not a train wreck actually. It's a very expert game to try to understand where all the places you should go to keep up to date, to learn about what you can even vote on, and then to actually make the vote itself. And so I'm always interested in saving people time, and that's just like a selfish endeavor too, because I always want to be able to get information straight to the veins. And so with Earnify, something we're doing is we're placing every single governance platform into this one search box that's always been the one search box for airdrops. Now it's the one search box that also includes what are the governance proposals which you are eligible to vote on uniquely based upon your wallet holdings, and it's just all that magic for you. So I think the idea of simplifying UIs and just making people able to easily see and take part in stuff, no matter how technical you are, is what I'm obsessed with.
I love that. I think they talked about this at DAO Tokyo, this idea of a town square for a DAO, a place where all the information is readily available. And I think a lot of people always smile and they're like, yeah, like because it's a good idea. It sounds nice. It sounds easy. But I think the kind of irony or the paradox in it you know, is this concept of decentralization. If there's one person or one group that controls the town square, then it's not really decentralized. But on the other hand, when you don't have that town square and everything is truly decentralized, it's just this fragmented, mess of things, and it's impossible to know where to go, what to do, like you said, which things you can even do based on your on-chain eligibility and which you cannot. And so that's been an interesting thing to kind of observe DAOs deal with and build abstractions around. I think the one thing that kind of gets me excited is this concept of like sub DAOs, what you see with Lil Nouns and NARS kind of being within the broader Nouns umbrella. I think having kind of smaller groups of people manage their own micro town squares, similar to the US government, right? There's the federal level, the state level, the municipal level, blah, 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 the town level, mayors all the way up to the president. I think that's kind of what is starting to take shape. But it's a really crazy problem, and you can make a good case for why there needs to be a centralized town square, and why there should never be a centralized town square.
Fair, fair. Actually, so Valko, I'm really curious from you. How do you solve this for yourself currently? If you're looking to take part in these communities, it seems like you are very DAO focused. How do you learn about, how do you make sure you're not wasting your time? How do you learn about all the different proposals and all the communities you can take part in even?
Yeah. Oh man, I don't really have a system for it. It's just raw research, honestly. I join all of the discords if it's something that has many discords versus one controlled by the centralized powers that be within the DAO, like their core team. So Nouns has got like a bunch of different discords or sub DAOs, you could even call them. I'm a part of basically all of them. I try to identify the accounts that are leaders within the space because they generally can help me increase my signal to noise ratio for what the hell is going on. Um, there's folks building pretty interesting front ends that really take certain verticals of the on-chain information and make them useful. Like there's a really cool, I forget the name of the website for Nouns, but it doesn't just show all of the proposals that are active, which the Nouns site does in a really nice way. I don't know who built that front end, but it's a great uh, kind of way to look at the tally system that Nouns is operating off of. But uh, there's another website that shows what votes people are casting and why. And I always thought that was super cool because it's a really high signal to noise ratio. So if I ever want to go vote on a proposal, that's one of the places I go look first. I have to find it's like bookmarked somewhere on my computer, but you can see what people are voting and why. And it helps me kind of quickly form an opinion while also doing a little bit of my own critical thinking. But to get back to your question, like where do I go? It really is raw research. It's everything is just kind of a mess, and eventually I just assemble my own little library of bookmarks, and maybe I should be sharing that with people or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough to get even the idea of a bunch of bookmarks in one place. Like the idea to assemble that is, I think it takes someone like us. It takes someone who's just steeped in this, who's obsessed, and that is great for now. It creates a tight community for now, but also to grow to what we want this to be. Yeah, it could be cool to get better tools in place to make that easier. Yeah, if you wanted to share that list with me separate, I'd love to help make that easier for you. In fact, good news is that the Nouns ecosystem is already set up in the new Earnify, flipping the switch next week on enabling Nouns. So in there, you'll be able to see for all of your addresses, yeah, which governance votes are open right now for you to take part in.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I gotta check that out. Whatever's new in Nouns, like I always like to hear about it because it seems like they're definitely always pushing the envelope. I feel like I should rename this space to Nouns Fanboy Space because I'm
I'm a
just
huge fanboy of
such a
Nouns.
fan.
So, would you say that Nouns is actually one of the most effective DAOs out there? I was trying to talk to a friend about this recently because it seems like, so I'm on the outside, I'm not a Nouns holder. Obviously, I am a Punk holder, but it seems like Nouns is small enough, but still decentralized enough to have important governance come through in real voting activity. Is that what you've seen as well?
I mean, they're deploying funds on real proposals all the time, and I'd say they're not like building wealth, like in terms of ETH. Like I think they have a slight burn rate in terms of ETH or USD, but it's not huge. So from that standpoint, from like the financial standpoint, it's very well managed DAO, and I think there's an infinite opportunity to increase their revenue. Um, so I would say, I mean, they seem to be well run to me. It's definitely a clusterfuck at times. And around the time I bought my Noun was the time they decided to shut down the Discord, and that was like a whole shitstorm on Twitter. People were like, "What the hell? How dare you, shut down the place where we speak?" But the ideology behind it was decentralization. It was, we'll have the Nouns official Discord as a bulletin board for information, but why should we control the place for the community to gather? Like, how about we let the community just set up its own discords? And I think it took people a while to realize that, but I had kind of made the decision to purchase my Noun, kind of in the midst of that. So after I bought it, I was like, shoot, did I just like really get screwed and buy the top? Like, is this going to be like peak FUD and it's game over? We all get emotional when we deploy big bags of capital. But hindsight's 2020, and I think it was a really great decision, and it's led to this like true decentralization. I'm not a participant in many other DAOs, but the DAOs that I've kind of like been close to, like they just don't frankly seem as decentralized. Like there's always pretty big gaping um, centralization bottlenecks. Like oftentimes it's a multi-sig, right? Um, and the multi-sig people don't have to necessarily enforce what the vote said. It's this idea of like, is there on-chain execution or not? And of course, like a lot of those DAOs, you can always vote new people onto the multi-sig, and that's how they achieve decentralization. But it's yeah, I don't really have any other DAOs that I'm frankly a big part of that I can say, okay, well they're a good example of a actually functioning organized DAO. I mean, are you guys part of any other DAOs that you think are good gold standards?
I'll definitely let someone else comment on this, because I would say that no, I definitely don't have any other like. Yeah, I mean, this is actually the first NFT community I've even gotten involved in, like branching off of just basically just being a collector. I was pretty into Weird Whales back in the day, which is a funny, really small project with Ben is a 12-year-old who launched it, and it was kind of just like it was taking part in the fact that yes, all this is a fun, silly thing that even kids can take part in. Besides that, like, I mean, to get on this punk space is actually really the first thing I've done. So I'd love to hear from someone else, like Mr. Forever or anyone else about DAOs.
I'm not so much into DAOs either. We were actually talking about this last week with Valco. But it's funny you mentioned that you're not that deep into NFTs either, even though you have a punk. Maybe could you maybe like say one or two words on, why you ended up picking up a punk, and like why a punk and not something else?
For sure, yeah. So when I say I'm not into NFTs, I'm definitely extremely into my punk. I'm into punks. I got my punk up on the wall in Brooklyn like almost right away when I learned about what the Brooklyn Wall was. So I definitely agree with the symbol. So for punks, for me, I'm a very avid hackathon hacker. So I won ETH Denver this year. I won a bunch of prizes at ETH Tokyo this year. I won at ETH Bogota this year. I'm very into punk and hack style thinking. So like, what's the fastest route we can take to get people what they need? And so the idea to me of being like counterculture, the way that like the word punk actually means, was from the second I saw CryptoPunks and learned what they were actually, I was like, okay, I'm super down for this. The fact that it's not, uh, the fact that it's not also very heavily branded, for instance, the way that maybe like a Bored Ape would be, I was also extremely interested in. So it's like, even though it's mainstream, it's counterculture mainstream. So I'm super into punks for that reason, for sure.
Very cool. Do you actually look like you're punk a bit?
Yeah, I definitely do. So I had a mustache, and then I grew out the handlebar bottom part of the mustache when I got my punk.
Very nice, very nice. No, I super love those classic shades there. I am a shades maxi when it comes to punks, and especially yours and mine. Like the big ones and the classic ones.
A lot of
Yeah.
people have this like dope swag where it'll have a little logo of the 3D glasses attribute on the top, or maybe the nouns noggles on the top. I want to do one with like the glasses we have. That'd be some good swag. Get down into those niche eyewears.
This is
I mean,
like
I
a
bought
eyewear
myself.
punk.
Yeah, it is an eyewear punk like meetup a bit, but I bought myself an in real life a big shades. I'll try to find a picture and post it in the comments.
I searched online for my exact type of shades in real life. definitely could not find anyone who had made something like it the way the Nouns has their goggles.
Yeah.
But if you all make it, I'm definitely a buyer.
Oh man. So I have my my punk up on that wall too in Brooklyn, and I've had this obsession for a very long time with the trope in anime of the glasses glare, right? Where you just like see a little glint or shimmer on some nerd or main character's glasses, or maybe even a villain's glasses in anime. And I've been thinking of, how funny would it be to paint some like slightly reflective paint over the eyes part of my punk on the Brooklyn wall, so that at night I can achieve a slight anime glare. But that would be graffiti. That'd be vandalism to our graffiti mural. So I will abstain. But I've definitely been tempted.
I support the idea of something really niche and interesting as a change, but yeah, graffitiing over. I'm sure you could even ask or work with the artists there to make it possible.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't want to do anything to like make my thing stand out more than the rest. Like I want everybody to just kind of be there on that wall. It's a very beautiful, ground up community based project. Uh, but a man can dream.
I just
Absolutely.
posted my breakfast from this weekend, and you can see my shades there. And those are specific punk swag shades that I bought. It's like a big Ray-Ban. So, I'm sure we all like have a little merch that matches our punk. I don't know, you, Valk, I'm sure you have something.
Yeah, I've just been trying to log more screen time so that my eyesight deteriorates so that I can actually start wearing glasses, because currently I don't need them, and I refuse to be the person who wears glasses but doesn't need them. Nothing against them. I just, for whatever reason, I personally don't want to be that. So I'm just working on deteriorating my eyesight in the meantime. I'm not eating any carrots at all.
Nice. Yes.
I had a friend who got LASIK eye surgery and afterwards loved and missed his glasses so much. He punched out the lenses and wore the frames alone, just the frames.
Yo, that's kind of like badass. I kind of respect that. It's not even the like these are like fake magnification lenses. It's like, okay, there's no lenses at all.
Yeah, it's the best of both worlds. You're not a faker, and it's a cool story.
Yeah, that's some I feel like that's some good Brooklyn shit right there. Some just frames, glasses.
When did you pick up your punk, DAOs? Like, I could check on chain, but is it fairly
Yeah,
early, later stage?
definitely later stage. So I picked up my punk exactly a year ago. So right during a lot of basically the week after ETH hit like 850 or 900.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I had been watching punks and really FOMOing so hard back in the primary boom of it all. Right, that was what, summer 2020, I think.
Yeah.
When it really started to get out of reach for
21.
21. Okay, yeah. When it really started to get out of reach as a cost for someone who's not really deep in the scene.
Yeah.
And unfortunately at the time I was becoming deep in the scene, but yeah, definitely didn't have bags yet. And so I knew that at some point price would dip. And when no one believed in the project or no one believed in ETH, that's when I knew I wanted to get in. And so I literally just waited till that happened.
Legend. And you picked a nice one. Like, what was the price of this one?
I think at the time it was 86 ETH, but 86 ETH was 90K.
Okay.
I think it was 90K
What was it
US.
relative to the floor at the time? Do you remember?
It was actually barely above the floor as well. So I really got,
Oh,
I think it
wow.
was like 5 ETH above floor. I got really
That's
lucky.
nuts, dude. That looks like, I look at that. I'm obviously biased because it's similar to mine, but I look at that and I think, at least 15 over floor.
Yeah, I
Oh,
feel like
way
super
more for
lucky.
me. I mean, basically punks, there's two categories. There's like profile picture material and there's the rest, right? And actually punks OTC speaks a lot about this, that these days it's really like profile picture type punks that are trendy, and yours is definitely in that category.
You should add that as a filter to the Forever Punks website.
I should,
but have it be
yeah.
explicitly your own opinion and nobody else's.
Yes, but yeah, exactly. Now that would create controversy,
That'd be so funny. Oh yeah, your punk not PFP worthy.
Yeah, no. Anyway,
Derek, what's up, man? Are you in Lisbon? Hmm.
Hey, sorry. I'm in middle of of a drop, so I'm going crazy. No, I'm in Tokyo. Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. By the way, congrats on your sale today. I saw it. Amazing. Well done. I mean, Von Mises is a legend.
Yeah, he's super nice. So he, I think we met because I offered him to get him one of my editions because I have always respected him because I know what a caliber of collector he is, and I've always admired him. So I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna make this drop. I would love to have you here. Like, I'm really hustling in the space and I know who you are and I would love to bring you into the family." And he accepted, even though he told me like he didn't really do additions. He liked my work, so he bought one. And after that we kept on talking and suddenly he asked me like, "Oh, would you actually take a commission?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, like I would be more than honored." So we've been
So
working on it for a little
what's
while.
the difference? What's the difference between like a commission and a one of one? Like commission, he asks you something specific, whereas one of one, you just make it. And
So normally commissions is like the collector will tell you like more or less what style they like. Like what I will do is tell them to look at my previous pieces and tell me a range of like 3 4 pieces that they like, and with that I have a frame of reference of what would they prefer, and then I narrow it down until I know, like, I have a clear idea of what can I make for them. And after that I tell them the idea and they'll say, oh, okay, let's go with it. And then I go shoot and do my thing and then we can polish it and stuff. Normally they're really happy with the final result. If there's something that they don't like or that they would like to change, they have a little leeway for that. And then you list it and they buy. So that's commission. And one of ones, normally, again, both of them are one of ones, but the regular one of ones, you will list them and you'll put them up for auction or you will put them up for a buy now, and anyone can go for it. So the commission is like a straight sale for the person who commissioned you, and the other one, like, anyone can get in.
okay, yeah, makes sense. Sorry, I was just a mute here. No, congrats. And I guess then the commission, they don't buy it then to resell it anytime soon, right?
Nah, normally the people who commission you is like they're very, very long-term holders because they're making
Yeah.
basically something for them.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I've commissioned a few physical art pieces from some artists I really adore, and I basically don't ever think I'll sell them. I mean, I guess there's a price for everything or anything, but these things are on my walls right now. They've got UV protection and everything, and unless my style and vibe of my home changes massively, there's no way I'm getting rid of these. And even then, probably get like a man cave warehouse somewhere that's just my own little art gallery. Because you commission these things. It's kind of like when it's almost like when I minted my noun. Like it really feels like it's mine. When you've commissioned it, there's a different level of um, you know, I don't know, identity to it all.
Totally agree
Is
with you. I think
it
the beauty of commissions is more like there's this intimate process between the artist and the collector where both of them are working on it, right? So even though I create the piece, the collector is giving me feedback of what they like. So in the end, the output is not only my work, but it's this process of both of us. So that also like adds up to the idea of making it vaulted forever and ever.
Yeah, like these two paintings, I'm looking at them right now in my house. Maybe I'll post pictures of them later. But the artist, he's a close friend of mine, and he basically picked these colors, like these paints that he imported from Japan, like a really special, um, I don't even know how to describe it. Some special type of acrylic paint, and he picked the colors based on me and my style and clothing. And we go to this music festival every year, and a lot of the colors are emblematic of you know the environment at that music festival as well. And so he kind of started at a foundational level with, well, what colors represent my friend Valco, and what came out of it is just like, it's crazy. It's very abstract art, but when I look at it really closely, I can almost see myself in them, like literally a bust of myself. It's really crazy. It's really trippy. But to your point, it was like this kind of combination of his style and inspiration from all that, plus inspiration from his experiences with me.
And it's also funny because I think that especially in NFTs, there's a huge benefit to commissioning pieces. Like if you find an artist that you think that is prominent or that is about to blow up or that has chances of growing really fast, let's say you commission something, he will tell you a certain price, which is his floor. From there, you have an instant sale. So you don't have to battle with anyone to actually buy what you really want. Whereas if you were hunting for a piece that he or she made, that whenever that piece got up for sale, it would be in an auction and maybe someone else will buy it. And that feeling of having to hunt or having to fight for something that you really like, at least since I started here, I really don't like that. I've always thought that I'd rather lose a little bit of money by always doing buy now options so that I'm really sure that that person who really wanted that piece gets it. Because if it's in an auction, you never know. Like I always think that the first person who kicks off the auction is the one who really wanted it, because then other people will FOMO in and they'll put more money inside. But the one that actually took the risk was the first one.
Right. Yeah. It quickly can become a bit of like a status game at a certain point, versus the person who was like, you know, willing to be the first and last bidder.
Exactly. And we all know that, like, because we're punks, like the only reason why, or one of the reasons why punks are so strong is because of the community, right? Because we're people first. It's not about the money. Like we have the floor price we have because the community has been so curated and so specifically chosen for each person here that we all take care of punks. So basically that's what I try to do with my artwork. I want the people who buy it to take care of it, not to try to flip it or to try to just like paper hand it or whatever. It might be a little bit more work and I might lose money, but at least I'm sure that it is in the right hands. So in the long term, it's just like playing chess. You're placing the pieces in the right way that you want it to be so that the game actually works out and you're not just going erratically all over the place.
100%. Yeah, I just pinned one of this piece I commissioned from my buddy, and if I look at it carefully, it that black streak, kind of in the center, that is shaped in a little bit of an arc. That I think is like my hair, and then under it is my face, and then you can see my shoulder on the right, and then the white area under is like kind of an unbuttoned Hawaiian shirt that I always wear at my festival. And then if you zoom out a level, it almost looks like that bust of a human is within a bigger kind of head and shoulders shape of a human. I don't know if I'm crazy or if anybody else sees that, but it's one of those things, like these abstract pieces, the more you look at it, the more you see in them. It's kind of like staring at the clouds. Really fun pastime, gets your mind thinking. But anyways, switching gears a bit, what is everybody thinking about WWDC later today? That's like what, in 2 hours or something, 10 a.m. Pacific.
WWDC.
Yeah, the Apple event.
Oh, okay. I mean, I've seen all over Twitter with the VR headsets. It's been pretty fun.
Yeah, do we think that's happening? I feel like it is.
I don't know. To be honest, I have not been following that close. I feel a bit bad for not having a VR punk, to be very honest.
Hey man, it's okay.
But
You can always buy one after the pump.
Valko, by the way, remember your old VR hoodie punk?
Yeah.
It was part of today's trauma. Did you hear that?
Oh, somebody sent a punk to the wrong address?
Yes. So basically, a punk got lost today, sent to a dead address. And Punk's OTC was making a trade with this other guy for 125 ETH plus that floor punk. Well, maybe a bit better than floor. and the guy in exchange of your ex hoodie VR punk, right? And the guy who and this was all on like Discord, and the guy who was doing the trade, you know, I think he's financially fine. He has a couple of punks and some very nice ones. But you know, he was in a hurry. His 3-year-old kid was there, and when he copy pasted the address, he missed like, I don't know, a letter or two, and he sent it to the wrong address. And the front end of the marketplace doesn't catch that error.
Wait, so is it related to this tweet from Sean that I pinned?
Yes, that's it.
Huh.
I mean, so what happened is OTC in this Punk's OTC in Discord, you know, tweeted that we lost the Punk today. Sean then, of course, straight away tweeted the breaking news. That tweet went viral, and then we figured out that the hoodie Punk was the other side of the deal, which in the end didn't happen, unfortunately.
Oh man, dude, that's crazy. Provenance is a strange thing, eh?
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's my VR take. It's probably not what you expected. But what do you think about WWDC?
I mean, there's probably a trade to be made on VR punks. Just when you think VR punks couldn't soar any higher, you know, if Apple does what they did for the iPhone and then what they did for the iPad and then what they did for the watch and now with like an AR/VR headset, if it has the same effect that Apple has historically achieved, then that can only mean one thing for VR punks, but not financial advice. As far as the technology goes, you know, I'm super excited. You know, I remember when Google Glasses came out, and I was super pumped, super bullish on it all. But it's been thrown in the bucket of projects killed by Google. There's an infinite amount of projects killed by Google, and I respect them for innovating and trying things. But at the end of the day, they were too early. And so the question now is Apple too early? Are they right on time? And I guess we won't really know until we can see what this thing is really capable of and how kind of immersive this AR stuff is. But I'm pretty bullish. You know, if you played around with some of the little AR features that all the iPhones have now, uh, they're pretty compelling. You know, you can put a little 3D object like your Meebit on your coffee table and have it dance around, and then you can move it and it'll go somewhere else. You can play entire board games or set up entire Dungeons and Dragons, like kind of like realms on a table. And then there's the more practical stuff, you know, I don't know, walk around and I don't know, see somebody's name over their head and all the information you have about them, pick up your credit card and see what your balance is. There's so much contextual AR stuff that can happen. The question is, you know, how rigid is the technology, and then I guess how easily can they open that up to developers? Because if it's as great as the original iPhone was, in the sense like here's the hardware, here's the software, here's how snappy and legit it is, and also here's the app store and how anybody can build an app. If they're able to do that for an AR headset and achieve what Google tried to achieve, whatever, 10 years ago, then life's about to change pretty fucking fast. If we thought, you know, if we thought artificial intelligence and chat GPT was a slap in the face, this AR thing is going to be a big slap in the face because it's the single technology that has the most potential, in my opinion, to bridge the physical and digital worlds in a way that we just haven't seen before.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I'm also like fascinated how Larva Labs, the design they made for VR is so similar to what Apple just put out a couple of days ago.
Did Apple release that, or was that just concept stuff? I haven't been following Apple's official channels.
That's actually a good question. I was just based on Twitter, but if it is, it's pretty similar.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm excited.
Okay, if anyone wants to, I see Sean in the audience. If Sean, you want to hop up, or if anyone wants to hop up on stage and share a couple of thoughts. We were just talking about the lost punk this morning, but Valko, I'd be interested back to your what's it called? Your noun story. You know, you mentioned that that's a very specific noun. Like I just checked it; it's like a cactus. Like, do you want to share maybe the backstory of that? Why that noun?
Yeah, I mean, it just resonated with me, honestly, and I started bidding. And I think once you're kind of in the auction, it does, like we said, become a bit of a status game, and you build emotional attachment to something you don't even have yet. So I was in a bid with somebody, a bidding war with somebody. I knew exactly how much money they had in their wallet because blockchain. And so I just eventually put in a bid, just 0.1 ETH over their wallet balance. And, I got my Seguro, they call it, is the head. That cactus is called the Seguro head. And I got my guy, and I haven't looked back. I mean, I really love that guy. One thing I find pretty interesting about the rarity within nouns is I don't know the complete number of attributes, but there's a number of heads, there's a number of accessories, shirts, blah 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 blah, and every day one new noun is randomly generated based on a block, and eventually, originally those were truly randomly generated. And they still are randomly generated with this caveat that there's actually this Twitter space that happens every day, and a group of people collectively vote, every whatever 15 seconds when a new block is created, a new noun is generated, and if it gets 50% thumbs up, it's the one that's created. So sometimes for 10, 20, 30 minutes, people are saying, no, not this one, yes, this one, until eventually one is created. And it kind of creates a very interesting effect with rarity because while they are randomly generated, they're curated by a group of people. So there's kind of like a great equalization effect that would happen with rare things, right? If something is truly really rare, statistically or not, people might have the desire to create more of the rare thing because they want to bid on it during the next auction. So I haven't actually looked at the attribute curve to see which ones are more rare than others. But if every attribute has a statistically equal chance of being created, and then there's this kind of like overlay of humans curating it, it creates a very interesting attribute rarity curve. And so what ultimately becomes the meta rarity is not single attributes, but actually like unique combinations of attributes. Or there's other rare events where like 3 days in a row, a certain attribute was the newly generated one. And sometimes the community leans into that. They're like, holy shit, like the statistical odds of there being 4 days in a row of a starhead nouns is like 1 in a million. Let's make that happen. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. So it's very interesting. Basically, the rarity curve itself in nouns is determined by the community and randomization, which is pretty cool. That's how decentralized it gets.
I actually didn't know that there was a human curation piece in there. I thought it was just all random.
It was originally, and then they did this proposal to do like FOMO or NOMO nouns. I forget what it's called. And they do a Twitter space, and you connect your wallet, and you can thumbs up or thumbs down which noun is created next. And sometimes there's a big delay.
So you have to collect your wallet. Okay.
Yeah, but I think anybody can connect. I don't think it even has to be like a nouns holder. I could be wrong though. I don't know how they fight attacks in that regard.
But so eventually a noun is created, but like during the Twitter space or
exactly.
Like
as soon as
the auction. And how do they reject it? Because like they interact on chain somehow. No, is there like a person that is kind of trust here or?
I think the way it works is once the auction ends and the noun is, minted or whatever or claimed by someone, then anybody I believe can call the mint function to generate the new noun, but it costs gas. And so this is just a game of a group of people, kind of determining when to call that mint function. But I'm pretty sure any outsider could permissionly just be like, and we're going to generate this one. But don't quote me on that. But I think that's something, or I think it works like similar to that.
I see. Yeah, actually, since our last call, I looked into Lil Nouns a bit. The one that generates every 15 minutes. I think my takeaway was that the website is like not updating every 15 minutes. I was like a bit hesitant on that. So I'll probably have to dig deeper on that. But yeah. Yeah, I see Sean, you just hopped up. How's it going?
Good. How are you? Yeah, I was gonna answer that question. Yeah, actually, nouns and little nouns work the same. The little nouns is the same code on it. So little nouns is actually a good way to understand how that works.
But is little nouns every 15 minutes, or it's every day? Like
no, they just changed that one parameter. So it's the same code, same base, same structure. They just said generate every 15 minutes rather than once a day. And And so the way it works is once the auction ends, someone has to settle the auction, right? And then anybody can do that. You don't have to be a winner, or you don't have to be involved with it. All you have to do is go and pay gas for it. So you can actually win the auction and not settle it. And if nobody else settles it, you'll never get the noun, right? So somebody has to go in and click settle it. And then the second transaction after that is to start the new auction. So then the new how long the auction runs is that feature, whether it's a day or it's 15 minutes, right? So when you trigger the new auction, it'll run for that period of time, the 1 day or the 15 minutes. And then whenever that's done, outside forces have to come and like manually trigger that next cycle. So yeah, if nobody cares about it, it won't make a new one, right? Somebody has to go in and say, I'm willing to like fork over the gas to say, start this thing.
It's funny because for me, that was such a turnoff when I was bidding. I remember that I wanted to buy one. And when I saw like the other people were just waiting for me to pay for them, I was just like, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, I got a couple little nouns early on, and then I also got annoyed by that real quick.
I wonder how long, like what the longest delay has been between like the auction ending and the auction being settled for nouns and for little nouns.
Yeah, I'm not sure with nouns, but I mean, I know that with little nouns, it's been days.
Oh my gosh.
So even though it's supposed to be 15 minutes, you know, because if there's a bunch, I mean, there's way more little nouns than there are, you know, regular nouns at this point. And if the auction prices are selling for basically the same price as secondary, or secondary is a little lower, you know, then, you know, unless you desperately need a new configuration,
right,
it's easier just
and
go
just
pick
like
the
the
one you want.
ratio of like the value of a little noun to gas, I think adds to that, like exacerbates that whole issue.
Yeah, I don't know I haven't looked recently, but like before, little nouns were going for like 0.2 or 0.3.
Yeah, I was looking yesterday. They're like 0.15 average closing on the auction, and I think secondary is 0.1. So there's a slight premium to winning the auction, which makes sense because people like to be winners and they like to own it first and blah 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 blah. And then
it's funny for me though. I want to pick the one that I actually like. Like you know.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean it's easier to pick what you like on the secondary, although participating in the auction is a form of picking with one option a day, or every 15 minutes rather.
Yeah, for sure.
And then yeah, lil nouns forever. I looked. They have 16 nouns under their control.
That's actually a quite interesting. I mean, like, I don't think. I mean, and maybe it's different, or maybe there's a different conversation happening that I couldn't find. But I was really attracted to that early on as like this really interesting way to kind of backdoor like a powerful control of the actual nouns treasure chest, you know, because if you can go in and you have a voting block of 16 nouns on your side, that's quite powerful. But it felt like there was far more bureaucracy around getting a proposal written,
totally,
and then get, you know, then made sense
so
on that
16
end.
nouns is about, I want to say 2% of the nouns total voting supply, because there's something like 720 or 730 nouns out right now. But the cool thing is like they've got this army of lil nounsers, which has a very organic community effect, of course, which means that they have this added kind of alpha of strength in numbers, which might mean their ability to attract delegated votes from, you know, nouns that have some altruistic opinion that those that are less fortunate perhaps might need to have a greater say in the nouns ecosystem. I mean, who knows? But there's many different ways lil nouns can leverage their strength in numbers, and one of those is by getting delegate voting power. But you know, at the end of the day, while there might be that kind of backdoor opportunity, you know, I guess the market always kind of just equalizes and closes that gap, right?
Yeah.
Sean, are you doing any conference travels right now?
No, I'm done after my back and forth to Japan for multiple different conferences for multiple different things in such a short span. So summer. I've got some vacation stuff with the family. I think I'll be back in Japan in August for some business stuff, though not conference specific. I think that we're looking at bright moments, but I'm not sure Buenos Aires is a bounce. So figuring out how that would work is a different story.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not too sure. Yeah.
I've got permissionless in Austin, which is September, I want to say, on my calendar, considering ETH Lisbon. But honestly, I've got so much travel this year. It'll probably just be permissionless for me, which is a quick hop from Nashville, and then heads down, working on client work, working on building the V3 collective, and just trying to do more hobby time. We got a new punk up on stage. Got a dildo head punk, Bouvet. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but welcome.
Yo, how you guys doing? The DAO conversation, it's pretty interesting, guys. The DAOs, like, recently I've been, like, researching and going to DAOs for, like, the past 3-4 months, and then, like, ApeCoin DAO seems pretty cool. Maybe it's DAO, I'm, like, a founder there, so I'm pretty familiar with it. Today was the first day I tried to use the prop house for the nouns DAO, but I never knew, like, there was little nouns, and then, so I have a question. Are the little nouns, like, part of the nouns ecosystem or whatever, or they have like their own funding? And then is there a DAO for CryptoPunks? I haven't seen one, right?
I can answer the second one. A group of CryptoPunks did create a DAO called Punks DAO, and I believe their mission is to own as many punks as possible and fund punk projects. So it's kind of like a venture capital DAO, but their big goal is to just accumulate as many punks as possible. I think they explicitly stated that by a certain time, like 2025, they want to be the largest singular punks holder. So it's an unofficial, I mean, everything with punks is unofficial, right? It's just a decentralized community. I mean, I guess there is Yuga, right? So that's official stuff, but this has nothing to do with Yuga. Although I think Yuga has given them soft endorsements, like, retweeted some of Punk's DAO's lunches and events. They've helped them have a little bit of a marketing platform, but that's kind of like an unofficial thing within the decentralized community that is Punks. Similarly, with Lil Nouns, it's Nouns is a completely decentralized community, Creative Commons intellectual property project. So anybody can participate really on like a permissionless basis. And Lil Nouns was just a fork of the Nouns code, like Sean was saying earlier, with a small tweak, which is, the artwork is slightly different. And the number of Lil Nouns that are created is much higher. It's every 15 minutes instead of every 24 hours. I am not sure if Lil Nouns has, like, they very well could have submitted proposals to Nouns DAO and gotten funding from the Nouns DAO treasury, but that would have happened on a completely decentralized basis. And I think maybe the Lil Nouns prop house could have been funded, like seed funded by Nouns DAO. But Sean, do you know?
Yeah, actually. So this is sort of an interesting story, and I think like actually a good model going forward for other communities. So Little Nouns was rogue. Like it was just like not rogue in a bad way, but like it was just like, this is open source, we're going to go copy it, right? That's literally like the whole point of CC0, right? Like let people do whatever they want with it. So they did it, and as they were talking about doing it, a bunch of the like established nouns people got instantly grumpy, which was sort of amusing because like you have this project which is designed around open assets, open IP that anybody can do anything with. So then somebody coming and doing doing something with it shouldn't be something that upsets you. But what Little Nouns did was in their smart contract, in like the setup for it, in the same like how like with nouns there's a whatever it is, like every 10th noun or something goes to the nouns DAO, right? There's like some allocation of nouns that are created that go to nouns DAO, right? That builds the treasury. And so little nouns kept that and basically said some allocation of little nouns are also going to go to the nouns DAO as sort of tribute for this. And so as soon as they did that, then the nouns community was like, oh, this is a supportive derivative. This is like a sub community that's sort of giving back to the main community, right? And so I think we've kind of seen similar things with like Dead Bird Society sort of kicking back a little bit to the Moonbirds community, right? Like, so you have these kind of sub communities that are contributing to the main thing rather than feeling like they're extracting something from it, and that wins over support from these kind of like stakeholders in the larger communities in a quite interesting way. And so I think that that's a model that can be explored more with with some of these smaller communities, throwing some kind of a nod or something back towards the larger community that they came from as a way to still be their own thing, but not feel like they're taking something from it, right?
Yeah, no, I love that. I think it's just a kind of great example of when the incentive structures are so crystal clear because of the blockchain and trustlessly enforced. People kind of know what levers to play with and present them in a certain way to, either get them in a proposal and funding example accepted or not. And I think that's a really beautiful thing. Like I had a buddy that was talking about doing some sort of like, I can't remember what it was. It's something like almost like a nouns branded coffee. It wasn't that, because that's actually, I think, a thing that went through. And he was like, okay, well, I'll put through this proposal and nouns will be the brand for my coffee. And, they'll help me distribute the coffee and use their marketing, and I'll make money because I own a coffee factory, and that'll be great. And I was like, well, hold on. Like, what's really in it for nouns? Like, why are they going to distribute this and retweet it for you? Like, there has to be something in the game for him. And so I don't think he's even submitted the proposal yet. But the idea was like, well, why don't you give like a vast majority or at least half of the profits back to the nouns DAO? Because then now they're looking at it as, okay, we can seed fund this thing and it might even pay itself off in 5-10 years. It becomes a revenue generating stream for us, just as the lil nouns kind of cleverly did with, I guess, yeah, one in every 10 lil nouns goes to the nouns DAO, whereas 1 in every 10 OG noun goes actually to the founders, to the devs, which I think that is also a beautiful alignment of incentives because it avoids a pump and dump, right? It's not like, okay, we get all the money, we can do what we want with it and frankly pull the rug and leave, especially in a world where there's no recurring revenues. There's almost not a reason to stay except, doing good by your holders. But the founders of nouns, like, you know, they get 1 of every 10 nouns forevermore. And that has them in the boat with us, I think, in a much more organic way than here's a lump sum of money, good luck, have fun.
Yeah, I got 2 more questions. First one is, I see on the bidding like minimum kind of 23, 24 kind of ETH. So is there like a minimum bid that's set, or can a noun sell for like 1 ETH,
They start at
for
0.
example? Okay, so somebody automatically just bids 20 something, right?
Yeah. And like you could, part of the implied value of a noun is their treasury controls about $53 million. Every noun that's purchased, the proceeds go into the treasury that's controlled by the DAO. 1 noun equals 1 vote over the treasury. So theoretically, and proposals like this have been submitted in the past, they call it the rage quit proposal. Somebody puts forth a proposal that says, let's take the treasury of 55 million and let's distribute it pro rata or equally amongst all the holders. And if a majority of holders vote yes, then that goes through. And the entire thing is divided by the number of nouns that exist. Of course, I would be against a proposal like that because I'm not in this for money. Like, I want to see the nouns vision play out. But other people, money's money and money talks. But anyways, the point I'm getting at is if you take the nouns treasury and divide it by the number of nouns that exist, that is sort of a tangible, hard or implied value of what a noun is, which there's probably an interesting correlation or on-chain analytic to do there with what is the proportionate value of a noun relative to the treasury and the number of nouns versus the daily auction closing price. Because I'm sure it fluctuates. I'm sure some days it's, people pay a premium, and some days it's the discount. You could probably infer a lot about market sentiment at a macro level from that. Frankly, it'd be a cool chart.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. There's very intelligent people in here. I'm surprised there's like not many more people here. Like, this is crazy. Everybody should be joining here and listening to this, like learning something, you know?
I'm gonna clip that. I'm gonna clip it and retweet it everywhere for the world to hear.
No, seriously, like, you join rooms that are pointless and talk about like rumors or what you heard or just making up from your influencers, whatever. But here, actually, it's like real facts and information and like knowledge being spread, huh?
Well, thanks, man. That's the type of affirmation I like to hear. I'm gonna close this space up soon because I got a dash, and I think a lot of people do too. But just to kind of drive home like the inspiration behind this space, I've met so many incredible punks on my travels and through the internet. And punks, I think, are an incredibly intelligent group of people that really embrace the Web3 ethos. And they're actually out there building things in the space, pushing the envelope, moving the space forward, helping onboard people. And they're generally just like a fun group of makers and thinkers and innovators. So I've had the pleasure of meeting all these people behind closed doors in real life or in discords or whatever. And I've had some of the best, most insightful, most fun, rewarding conversations of my life. And I figured, why not open that up to the whole world? So the mission with this space is pretty simple. It's share the collective wisdom of punks with the world. And that's not to say I don't want to have non-punks up here. We'll have whoever up here. But I have definitely a bunch of punk friends, Sean, Derek being up here. We got beautiful NFTs in the audience. He's building a super cool project in Nouns. Definitely worth checking out. But yeah, that's the idea. It's a place for punks to gather and share their collective wisdom, because it is a really smart group, and it's not meant to be a humble brag or anything. Like, you basically have a mix of people who are either really early and had the conviction to stay, which is, I think, a very good indicator of like some form of intelligence or proximity to like innovation. Or you have people that bought in recently because they have future conviction around the project, and they were, I guess, accomplished enough in other parts of life to amass enough money to buy a punk. And so basically you have this community of, I mean, really incredible people. And not to say punks is the only community with incredible people. There are tons of community in the NFT space full of incredible people. And those are the communities I like to join. That's why I'm part of Nouns. Tons of awesome people. Boop is an awesome Nouns community goer that I really admire, and he's in the room. I'm part of the V1 Punks community, as Sean is. He's a big advocate of that. Great community as well. And that's the cool thing about this space, is it's just people at the end of the day. And that's what we're here for. It's just online clubs. But yeah, it's really honored to have you in the room, and thanks for the kind words. And thanks, Sean. Thanks, Derek, for joining today. I don't know if you guys have any closing thoughts, but probably wrap this up pretty soon here. Hey, nothing but hearts. All right, then, guys. Well, thanks so much. I'll see you guys hopefully on Thursday. And if you guys ever want to, come on as like an official guest speaker, just shoot me a DM and we'll get in the calendar. All right. Later, guys.